And to sort of give everybody a background who may not be familiar with Esprit, they're a world-class builder of digital signs. They have deployments around the world, including the United States with Westfield is probably one of the biggest properties. So one of the things that we're finding as we're talking to customers in the marketplace is, you know, who's involved in the process, who's building it, and your name comes forward as, you know, someone that understands digital signs and understands the complexity, and more importantly, can provide a robust and comprehensive back end as well as warranty and support for the product. So that being said, Mr. Brenner, over to you.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to mute everyone if that's okay. And let's see if it mutes everyone. Mute everyone. Mute. Look at this. Yeah. Okay. So everyone's now muted. So obviously, I think some of you know us and some of you don't, but I'll just give you a very brief idea of Esprit. So Esprit Digital are 14, 15 years old as a business set up by me and Peter Livesey, who you see on your screen as well. And effectively, if you've been lucky enough to come to London and you've gone up the escalators on the tube, you'll see screens up the escalators. And that was our idea. And we installed those throughout London and ended up doing them in lots of cities around the world. And have built our business out of that. So we built that idea, that technology, put it in, and have kind of built a business out of that. So for the last 15 years, we've been doing that. If you're looking at, most of you are in the States or Canada, I know, but I mean, if you happen to have gone into a Westfield in the United States, all of the technology, all the screens you see in there have also been made by us. So all of the advertising displays are all made by us here in the UK and shipped off around the world. And we've done all the Westfields in Australia, America, here, Europe. You know, to name but a few. We recently did a nice rollout of displays in Hawaii with Alan, so he's been involved with a lot of things that we've done. So effectively, you're all here to hear about the InstaScan unit. I'll give you a little bit of background on the InstaScan unit. Effectively, as a technical company, we travel a lot. I travel everywhere, and when it came to the beginning of this virus, as our business, we knew that we needed to kind of maybe change our focus, not so much on these giant displays in the advertising world, because there's going to be a little bit of a break in people out of home, as you've just been describing in New York City. But we've got our factory and our facility, so we wanted to keep our place busy, and needed to know what we were going to do and how we were going to do that. So effectively, one of the things that I'm seeing when I'm traveling in the Far East all the time is that you're constantly having your temperature taken, whether it's with a gun or a screen or a device. You're constantly having it monitored. Now, obviously, prior to COVID-19, this was an overhang, an overhang from the previous SARS and all the other pandemics or viruses that are out there. The World Health Organization last week actually released a stat. It's the first time they've done this. They released a stat to say that in 89.1% of all cases of COVID-19, the first visible symptom is a fever. Okay, that doesn't mean that if you've got a fever, you've got COVID-19, and it doesn't mean that you haven't got COVID-19 if you've got a fever, but it is an indication. And what everyone's looking for, all our customers and everyone that we're talking to in retail, restaurants, office buildings, etc., they're all looking for that element of making the people in their buildings feel a bit safer. This is about making people realize that anyone that's come into that facility has been checked. There's some element of care taken to make sure that you haven't got people in there that have got a temperature that could have the virus, that could be spreading this very contagious thing. Factory wise, we have a load of factories now putting it in there, because you don't want to, you want to basically have all your staff come in. You don't want this infection to wipe out 20 people in your factory all ill at once. So effectively, they're putting it into the factory, and they're using the system to be able to log people coming in and out, and using facial recognition and using their names as well. I'm going to go through the options with you. You don't have to use any of these options, but the unit is very versatile, and we've built it that it basically enables you to do multiple things with the same device. So depending on who you are and whether you're a gym or a sports arena or a retail store, this device will allow, you can use it to do the same device to do access to all of those things, or just to take temperature. Okay, so what is the device? This is the device. Okay, now what I will say to you is that every one of you, if you're interested in these devices, you've seen something similar. Okay, you would have seen stuff like this. Now,
James,
as
can we just make sure, if you're struggling to see James because he's in a small square, if you click on the 3 buttons next to his name and press pin, that will make James full screen so you can see it in full.
Thank you, James. I'll wait a couple of seconds. So basically, as he just said, if you wave your mouse over my face, 3 little dots come up next to my name. If you click the dots and click pin, then I will become full screen. Okay, I'll assume that hopefully a lot of you have got that. So what I was going to say was that one of the things that obviously Esprit do, we've been doing for years, is making product and delivering highly reliable product and doing it all over the world and giving the Esprit digital warranty, guarantee, etc., with it. We figured when I went off over to look at products like this and I saw some similar stuff in China, we figured that this is going to be a product that's going to be required, but people aren't going to want to buy a Chinese device for this, you know, they're going to want to buy a homegrown device. So, you know, our customer base, actually our largest customer base is in the United States, but we do, you know, huge export around the world. And so we wanted to make a product that we'd make, manufacture, assemble effectively in the UK, put our seal of approval on it, and then ship it off around the world. So whilst you might see similar, whilst people might come to you with the same devices, all I can really tell you is ask them, go and see it, say, can we come and see it being manufactured? Because I think you'll find that the majority of people that we've come across are making this stuff or buying it in China, shipping it in. And you're more than welcome to come to our facility in London when you're allowed in. You can come, but you've got to sit for 2 weeks in a hotel before you come. But you know, you're more than welcome to come and have a look and see the stuff happening. So effectively, the device itself is an 8-inch Android display. So we've got an LCD screen with an 8-inch, and it's got an Android player, Android 7.1. So it's exactly the same player that you would have in your Samsung smartphone type device. The reason why we chose Android as the operating system is because there are more Android developers in the world than any other platform now. And therefore, if you wanted to, or any of your customers wanted to put third-party applications onto this to do added functionality, they can do that very easily. And I'll show you all the connectivity to the unit again in a second. But effectively, you can put other applications alongside the thermal sensing application to enable you to add other devices. All of our devices also come with an RFID card reader. So if you are using an RFID card to touch in or out of a venue, then you can basically use this to integrate into your system to do in and out and logging of people, etc. on that basis as well. Okay, so we've got the screen, you've got the RFID, and this device has got 3 cameras. It's got a depth sensing camera, it's got a standard camera, and it's got a temperature sensing camera. Why has it got 3 cameras? The depth sensing camera is there to basically create the contour of your face to make sure that you're a human being. If you cast your mind back to the first time that Apple did their face technology, people used to hold up a photo of themselves and that would let you into the phone. So this is basically stopping you from being able to fool it with a photo. So it has to see a face and a human being. The standard camera allows you to do the facial recognition, which I'll talk you through in a second. And the temperature scanner is the same temperature sensors that you'd find on the front of the thermal guns that would shoot you in the head to get you a temperature. The temperature that this reads, it reads accurately to plus or minus 0.5 degrees Fahrenheit to one of these kind of CVS thermometers, and it's taking the temperature from your forehead. So this is not a medical device. It is reading your temperature, and it's a very, very good indication of whether you have a fever, but this is not a device that's giving you an absolutely precise medical temperature. And the reason why I say that is because when you talk to all sorts of people in this industry, they all talk about, well, the best place to get the temperature is your ear or your eye or somewhere else to stick this, which obviously you're not going to do in public. So effectively, you have the device. It comes in 2 SKUs. It comes in a version which we call pole mounted, which effectively has this really kind of snazzy back arm, and you can effectively loosen the top to create your angle and tighten it, and it creates the angle that you will install it in. Okay, it's got a washer at the bottom here. You drop the cables, you drill a hole, 2-inch hole in a desk, drop the cables through, basically put this through the hole, and then underneath bring the washer up and click it into place. It's as easy as that. Okay, for the installation of that. And then we also have a wall mounted version, so a flat back version here, and you can see it's got these little catches here, and they allow you to push it in and drop it down on the wall. So you've got a flat back version. You have to obviously have the cables going into your wall, and then you've got the pole mounted version. Okay, so they're the 2 SKUs of the device. I'll show you it working, and then I'll show you some of the connectivity. Out the box, you get effectively, without any internet whatsoever, without any connectivity whatsoever, you turn it on and it comes up with this kind of light screen here. And when it notices a human being or any kind of human movement, you get another screen here, which has basically got this kind of cut out of your torso, cut out of your head. It's very natural to be used. There's been a lot of research done. People automatically put their face in the right place on this device. You walk up to it, depending on the angle, depending on your height, will depend on where you effectively stop to have your temperature taken. And this camera can read your temperature up to 1 meter away. Okay, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to talk you through what you're going to see, because it happens very quickly. You put your face into it, it starts reading your temperature. On this device here, you get a bar that appears here, and on the bar it will tell you the temperature that it's red, and it will go green. If your temperature is within range, you'll be green. If you're over temperature, if you've got a fever, it will go red. This up here is a flashlight, which effectively illuminates you if it needs to illuminate you, and also can go red and green depending on the outcome of the thermal results. Okay, I'm going to do that for you now, but one other couple of things to say to you is that the other options out the box, turn it on within a minute it's doing this, and it can read your temperature. With a mouse and the security password, you can go into the settings and you can turn on mask detection. So mask detection is basically looking for a mask. If you're not wearing a mask, it will still say you can't pass. So if you want to have an environment where you have to enforce mask wearing, you can do that with the device as well. So it will read the temperature and it will do the mask. And the final option that you can do, you can enable face recognition. And this device will store up to 30,000 faces. Okay, just standalone, no internet, anything at all. You store the faces on the device literally with the mouse and go up to it and put in your name and details. And then effectively it stores you, and then it will recognize you, and it recognizes you and gives you your temperature in under a second. Okay, standalone, all that information is stored in this device, and with the passwords and a mouse and a USB stick, you can effectively take that data off at the end of the day and ingest it. It creates a CSV spreadsheet file, and then you can take that and you can put it into your system. So all the information is available without it being connected. I will talk you through, after I've given you a demo of it working and shown you some of the connections, I'll talk you through our SaaS model. And our SaaS model allows you to basically connect the unit up to the server system and get all this information live and manage access requirements, opening gates, doors, all that kind of stuff. So if you can all see, and I'll try and do this, if I put, you can see it's got this screensaver on, and effectively when I put my face into it, you see it comes alive, which is what I was talking about. With our SaaS model, you've got a section down here which you can either put a QR code in if you wanted to do some kind of research collection, or you could put your company logo in there or your client, and there's a message that can go here. Or this whole bit can be disabled. You don't have to show that at all. Okay, when I put my face into it, you're going to notice the green bar here. That's how quickly it's read my temperature. Okay, so I'm going to literally put my face in, and it's read my temperature. Did you see how you can see how quick that goes? I'll do it again. So I'm 36.3, and it's also recognized me because I'm on in the database. It's come up here and it comes up 36.3 and my name. Okay, it's got the time and the date at the top as well. So James, was that clear? Could you see? So hopefully everyone would see that, and I can do that again afterwards. And what I'll do in a minute is I'll change the settings on the unit via the system.
Do it again, but move your hand.
It's hard to do it. So you can see it basically. That's how quick it's reading it. Okay. So on the device, okay, we basically have we have one cable coming out the back, like I showed you, and effectively we've got a whole load of connections on it. So we've got power, standard 12-volt power. Okay, so that is just literally your standard connectivity. Okay, we've then got USB. So on our device, we have got one or two USBs, depending on whether it's the wall or the pole mounted version. And effectively with the two USBs, as I said before, you can plug in your mouse, you can plug in your stick, and that's how you get onto the device if it's standalone. From when you take it out of the box, if you want to connect it to your Wi-Fi, you plug a mouse in, type in a code, and you need a scroll wheel mouse, a mouse with a little scroll wheel in the middle, and then basically it will give you the ability to add in your Wi-Fi and change the time and all the other stuff that you may require on that first setup. But literally from a setup perspective, in order to take it out of the box and have it ready to take your first temperature, no more than 5 minutes. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, on top of that, we then got some other connectivity. So it's got Wi-Fi on board, but if you don't want to use Wi-Fi, then you can use the RJ45 Cat5 jack, so you can have standard Ethernet. And then you've got the stuff, the clever stuff that I like as well. So we've got a standard, for those of you who know what this is, a standard I/O port. This is effectively a circuit. This you can use to control an external light or a buzzer. So depending on the outcome of the result from the temperature, this could illuminate a little red light above a turnstile to tell you that you can or can't access effectively. Okay, and then we've got standard RS-232 connectivity. So if you want the unit to talk to other devices, if you want to talk to your own access control system, or you want it to pass information into another computer, just by standard RS-232 protocol and communication, you can pass the information out into this port, into your computer. We've got people writing all sorts of applications, little kind of like desk applications, where it can literally come up with your name and your temperature, and they're writing those things themselves for that type of thing. And then we've got the what is called WeGAND input output. So WeGAND is the industry standard for access control. So if you're running a standard access control with an RFID and you're touching the tag and it's opening a turnstile or a door or a lock, you're pretty much guaranteed that it's going to be using either WeGAND 26 or 34, which is kind of like the industry standard. This unit out the box will talk that language and then be able to integrate in and talk to your gates to open them. At the same time, if you wanted to, you can use your card and your face, and it can pass both those bits of information via the RS-232 to give you that dual check. So you could change your access control to say, I need to know that someone's within temperature and they touched the card, to be able to, you know, integrate it in. This is something that your access control guys need to do for you. We're happy to talk to them. We have got an element of support within that system and within that structure. But realistically, it's very easy to do, and they should know it's no different to any of the equipment that they would normally get. I'm going to show you the back end system very quickly. So effectively, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully, let's see if it comes up big on yours. So can you all see that? James, what does that look like on yours? Yeah, okay, thumbs up from James. Cool. Okay, so effectively, you see my lovely face with my moaning old face here. Right, so running through this is basically, we only literally finished this about 2 weeks ago, this bit of software, so it's just going through final testing. We'll release it into the wild in about a week. So we're just finishing off the bugs, putting in all of the licensing, etc. But this is our SaaS model. So again, our standard model is that each one of those units would have a monthly license, but we are offering enterprise licenses to bigger clients, people that have got multiple displays, that, you know, so a one-off license for one screen, or if they want to take this and host it in their environment and they've got 100 displays, we can talk about a enterprise model on that. So just to quickly talk you through or show you through the system, when you first turn it on, you get this kind of dashboard. And on the dashboard, you get your kind of total information, how many people have been scanned, how many people are straight. We call them employees, strangers, and visitors. An employee is someone that's been registered, someone you know is going to be coming and going into a building. A visitor is someone that basically has come in for a meeting. So when you go to a building in town, in New York, wherever, you walk up to a desk and you have to sign in. So this is effectively going in, signing in, and having access for that day or that hour through a particular gate. And then strangers are people it doesn't recognize. Now, a stranger, it doesn't, with the system, it doesn't mean that just because you're a stranger, you can't come in. You can set it up to ignore strangers or block strangers, and that's really depending on what you're doing. If you're a retail outlet, clearly you want strangers. The more people that come into your store, the better. So you would basically configure the unit to be inclusive of strangers and employees. Employees, you can use it, say you're monitoring your own staff's health, but the strangers are coming in, and as they're coming in, it's just clocking their temperature, so your security guard or whoever it is can see whether they're running a temperature. So this kind of gives you the snapshot of that. We have an attendance system in there. So if you were a school, as an example, and you wanted to run this with your students, you could sit there and say, these students are due in at 8:30 till 5 o'clock. And then as the students come in, it clocks their face, lets them through. If they've come in before 8:30, it tells you. If they come in after 8:30, it tells you they're late. If they're leaving early, it tells you they're leaving early. But the key thing for the difference between students and retail is, as an example, is that you can't stop a kid coming into school. If the parents have dropped the kid at the gate, you expect your kid to get to their desk. So within this system, you have this clock-in system, and then the school nurse would have access to the back end. They would then go onto the system and see who's come in. They could look and see if any of them have got a fever. So you can see you've got this little circle. If anyone's got a fever, it comes up, and then you can actually see that little Johnny has come in. He's running a temperature. You go and collect him from his classroom, bring him back to the nurse's station, phone the parents and say, can you come and collect him? So different people handle this data in a different way. Device management, it gives you all that kind of control and functionality that you'd be used to having if you were running a network of screens. And at the end of the day, this is just another screen, but we've added the thermal sensing capabilities onto it. So within here, you can effectively pick on a display, and you can make various changes remotely. So I've got this server hosted up in the cloud, and my screen is connected to it just via Wi-Fi from my house. But this could be all internal. We could give you the server software. You could place it in your own infrastructure and keep all the data local and not out in the cloud. Within this device, you can set it to bother doing a body temperature test or not. You can set the threshold. So as an example, and this is where I fly at the seat of my pants, but currently the unit's set at 37.3 degrees. If I change this unit to 36 degrees as a flag and set it, and then I put my face into it, and I don't know if you can still see me, but if I put my face into it, you can see that because my temperature is above 36, it's set off an alarm, and it's basically telling me what my temperature is and setting an alarm. Now, you don't have to have it do all the big flashing and lights and stuff. You can be very discreet, but you can basically select the different levels that you would like the device to do. On top of that, you have, as I said before, the ability. I'm just going to put that back to 37.3. Otherwise, my next demo will not look so good. And then you basically turn on mask detection, stranger detection, all those things that we talked about. On top of that, within the system, you can go into here and you can change all of the kind of current settings within the unit, the name of the unit, the codes, the logos, and then what it does with the output. So with the serial output, the RS-232, with the WGAN output, is it going to open a gate? Does it close a gate? All of this kind of stuff can be set within this. And then on top of that, the ability to be able to just, if you wanted to open the door remotely from here, okay? And then other little things you could do, like you would be able to do on any device. If I click on here, you can actually physically get the screenshot for exactly what it's seeing at this moment in time. It's going to be, and make it come alive. But you can see that's basically what it was seeing at the time when I clicked it. And if I click it again, so you actually get that kind of thumbnail screenshot of exactly what it's displaying at that time. Okay. And then you go on to the kind of the pass management. So pass management is all the people that it's scanned and when they scanned it, and you can choose whether you want it to keep faces or not keep faces, and it tells you the name of the person, and it tells you whether they're a stranger or an employee, what their temperature was, etc., where they're based, what time they came in, what time they went out. And you've got all the ability, as you would in any system, to kind of create this tree. So a business tree, if you wanted to run for your own customers, their own networks, you could have all your customers here, give them access just to their screens, but you could run all those screens for them. Blacklist monitoring is exactly what it says, that you can actually put people on a list that you don't want access, and they'll pop up and say, sorry, you can't come in, you can't come in. All of this stuff, you need to take your own, every different country, state, region has got different laws and regulations around this stuff, and you can disable it or turn it on, but it's up to you to check what the legal requirements are within your space. From a personnel management point of view, again, it's how you store the information. So within the device here, in fact, look, there you go, that's James. So in here you can see a person with a name, an employee ID, and then effectively that's it. So if he pops up on any of the screens now, he will be recognized from that system, and it even recognizes you with a mask. So we get a 99% recognition success without a mask and a 95% with a mask. So that gives you kind of a really good idea of how robust and resilient it can actually be. And then all the standard stuff, the organization structure, adding in new companies, new people, new businesses, all of that, and the access and the user access and the logs are all effectively within that system. So that kind of gives you kind of an idea of the back end system. Connecting up to it is just as easy as you take the display, you go with the mouse, you point it to where your server is, and it's done. And effectively it uses 3 ports, which would give you the information for those ports that need to be open on your firewall. It really is as simple as that. I think I have gone through everything. James, if you want to unmute and tell me if I've, 1, forgotten anything, and 2, any questions that have come through.
I don't think you've forgotten anything. And in terms of the question, I've just received one. And can James talk to a voice interaction capability, live or bot driven? I'm not really sure what that means.
Whoever it was that said that, if they want to unmute themselves, we can ask the question again. Who was it, James? I might need to unmute them myself.
Tom.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Good to see you. This is great. I was asked by someone earlier this week who is looking at a competitive temp reader if we could have voice interaction, i.e. if somebody has a problem and it can't be addressed by the interface at the entrance, could they interact with a machine, i.e. it says do this, do that, or somebody in an HR function or in a security function at an entranceway?
As I said right at the beginning, that the device is Android enabled, which basically you can get to the Android operating. We can put a secondary software on it. Within our software, there is no user interaction with it, so it would be very hard to work out how we would even trigger that, because you go up to it and you're either green or you're red, and it either lets you pass or it doesn't if it's controlling gates or if there's a security guard there. So when we're looking at shopping centres as an example, and we do a lot of work with the shopping centres, they're looking at installing these devices, multiple ones. They've still got their security guard at the desk. When I come in, if I'm running a fever, a little light or a flag or a vibration in the guy's pocket will go off. He comes to me and he asks me to do a secondary test. Can I just test you again, just to get that double confirmation? Apart from that, yeah, of course we could. There's no touch on this unit, so there's no kind of touch interaction. One of the features that we've been asked to look at, and we are subject to the quantity of units. We're happy to engage in lots of things, but subject to quantity of units, one of the things that's been asked a number of times now is the ability for the unit to, after you've gone through and you've had a response from the thermal part of it, is for it to come up with like a QR code, and you use your phone to scan that code, and then it might ask you a series of other questions about your health. So, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Whatever it wants to ask you, so that it can collect, and then basically that information would then be tagged back to the person that it's recognized. That level of interaction we are looking at, but the interaction back to, as I said, it's not got buttons and it's not got touch.
Either.
And it doesn't have a microphone. So in its current guise, that's not to say we couldn't build something bespoke for someone, but in its current guise, it's not really there for that.
Thank you. We have another
question, James. Go on.
Yes. Can you talk a bit more about APIs, please?
No, I'll try. So we do have So as I just said, we've only just finished writing our software for this. Okay, so I don't know whether any of you guys are involved in software development, but a lot of the time, a lot of this stuff is open source, and then you kind of pull it all together to make this work. So, you know, the back end system that we've developed is from an open source kind of control panel solution, and then we've basically got that to talk to our device and have that. So we have an element of an API that is it's not published. I have got 3 files that I can share that will allow people to see how the unit is communicating via the LAN, what language it's talking, what calls and posts you need to do. And I'm happy to release that. Our biggest problem with doing that is that I wouldn't be able to promise you the level of support that Esprit Digital is used to giving when we make a product. And the reason for that is that normally when we're making this product, we'll have made the product, we'll have taken an extra 2 months to write the software, build the software, test it all. We wouldn't be doing this all at once. So right now, I owe it to my customers to make sure I'm supporting my system rather than other people's systems. But I can share the APIs with you, and you can have a look and see what and how it works.
Okay, great, thank you. I haven't had any further questions come through.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course, of course.
I'm not a techie savvy person like the rest of you. I just have a quick question. What to tell my IT director? What does this need to run? I know you mentioned it's an Android 8-inch device. It runs 12 volt. Do I need Wi-Fi out of my employee entrance? I want to put this at my employee entrance.
Right. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to link into your system, or are you just interested in temperature and
just temperature?
Then you need nothing. You don't even need to put it onto your network. You literally can take it out of the box, turn it on. If you want to get the date and time to be synchronized, you could connect it to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But effectively, when you turn it on, it does exactly what it's doing there. It reads your temperature, comes up with the red or green. And if you've got the best example we would give you is if you had a reception desk and you've got someone working at that desk all day, like you go to a doctor's surgery or a dentist or whatever, you go up to the desk, you scan your face, that person's seen that you come in as red or green, and they deal with you. You don't need to do anything. You don't need the internet, nothing at all. You literally just install it.
And the face recognition I can turn off, because I think if I have the face recognition on, I'll have the union over here up my.
It's off. It comes out of our factory off already. So perfect. You don't need face recognition on. You don't need mask recognition on. You just turn it on, and it will do that standard. What is your temperature, and give you that information. If you want to go into the back end, your IT guy needs to be able to read 5 pages of a manual. If he wants to make any changes, he needs a mouse. We give him the password, and he can go in and he can decide whether you want to up the temperature. So at the moment, it comes shipped in degrees C at 37.3 degrees C, which is kind of the standard. But when we've installed it into certain retailers, they've said, I want to up it by another 0.5 because I want to have an element of, so you can basically choose that level and put it into the device once. And once you've done it once, it will stay there.
Yeah, I think in the States, they're saying now like 99.7 or 99.8 is just about normal temperature, I believe.
So let's have a look and see what they say that is in. So yeah, let's have a 99.8 F in Celsius. So yeah, so basically we'd be looking at setting it at 37.7. So you'd go into the system, set it at 37.7, and that's it. It'll stay at that.
Got it.
We've had another couple of questions come through.
Okay.
What are the API protocols to integrate the data we gather with other data?
So I'd send that all through to everyone. Is the best way. Alan, if I send you that information, and if anyone wants to go to Alan or Dan, they can send that through to you. As I said, it's files and information that it goes. I understand when I'm looking at it what it is, but it goes above my head because I'm not a software developer. But it does explain how the communications are done, and etc. etc. For instance, even in our management, in our back-end server solution, you don't ever send the pictures of the faces with the names. The faces are linked to an employee ID number, and the other side of the record is the employee ID number linked to names. So they never actually travel in the same space. So you're never transmitting both at once. The other thing is that it's very important to recognize that this isn't a medical device. And as standard, the world has changed, and this is going to be something that's going to happen everywhere. So certainly in the UK, what we're finding is that all companies started. We have an employee handbook. I'm not sure what the equivalent would be in America, but all of our employees, when they come back into work after they've been on furlough or out of, when they're allowed out, they're all now coming into our buildings, and they're actually being told as standard, you will have your temperature read, and we will store your face. And they have to basically adhere to that. If they say they don't want to, that's fine. We have to set up another way of doing this, but they'll come and sit outside my office and wait for me to scan their head, and it will be very inconvenient. So the way that we're handling this is that the new norm is you shouldn't be worried about someone taking your temperature. This is about trying to protect others and not just you. And what we found is that it's really surprising. People are fine with it, whereas people used to be sitting there thinking Big Brother's watching us and I'm not involved in that, I'm not doing that. Nowadays it's become more the norm.
Another couple of questions.
Yep.
This one I can answer. Android. What type of platform is it? It's Android 7.1. And the second part of the question was, please share the 3 files, calls and posts, which we will do after this call to Dan and Alan, and Dan and Alan will distribute. Another couple of questions. Where is the unit currently installed?
Okay, so we've got, it's very, very new. So I'm not sure if I can really share, but we've done it into lots and lots of factories, warehouses, schools. We had a very, very nice industry leader here in the UK that bought a whole load to give to schools in the UK, and they've been installed, but no one's actually been into schools yet, so they're not even on. What were you saying, James?
Health spas, restaurants.
Yeah. So we've had units, we've sold them, but a lot of places certainly in the UK aren't even open yet. So I can tell you big names like Champneys, if you've heard of those guys, and Costco. We're talking to hotels in Vegas at the moment who have purchased. So there's quite a lot of big names, but it's a bit hard because I can tell you what Esprit Digital have done. As in over the last 15 years, I can give you a list of every single blue chip company we've dealt with, so you can see the caliber of what we're delivering and what we're putting what we do. But to actually say about this product, we've only been making it. It's only been coming out of the production line for 3 weeks. So whereas we're on to whatever it is, over 3,500 units made. It's new. People are only just taking it and installing it.
Another couple of questions. Is the interface available in French?
Yes. I think it's in 18 languages now. We just got Japanese put onto it the other day.
I can run you through those languages very quickly. It's English, Italian, Polish, German, Russian, Thai, Spanish, French, Arabic, Korean, Vietnamese, Indonesian, Czech, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Romanian. And again,
and now Japanese.
And now Japanese. So how much does it cost to add a voice file? If the opportunity is big enough, we'll do it for free. So let us know. Another question's come through. Do we have permission to use the image from the Shangri-La Hotel in the sales pieces? This is a selling block.
Someone asked that the other day. Yes, they're all Shutterstock images. We purchased them.
Yeah.
I think that come from you, Alan, the other day.
That was a question that Alan asked the other day, but the question.
So basically, I went back and checked with my design guys, and we purchased all the pictures from Shutterstock. So yes, they're all been used. Fine.
Okay, great. I've had no more questions come through, so I'm more than happy to open up to the floor. And if anyone wants to just unmute themselves and go ahead, and we can have a general chat. If no one has any more questions, then we can leave it there. Oh, 1 minute. We have another question come through.
Sorry. Yeah, I just send it through, but it would really help, certainly us, and I think anybody, and amongst the group, like if there's reference pictures or video of install, everyone understands newness and everyone understands the story around quality, for sure, and that's what we're selling. But it would be so helpful for us and vice versa amongst the group that are trying to really make this happen on a global scale.
So we will put this together, Michael. Right now, I'm not allowed out of my house. We're still not allowed out. So it's a bit difficult. If you look at the video on our website, I don't know whether Alan shared that, but if you look at the video on the website, you'll see it was made in this house. My dog's in it. But we are lined up to make a professional video and all that kind of stuff when we're allowed out. But right now, we're just not allowed out.
For the client,
we have asked our customers for pictures, and as soon as we start getting these back, we'll put them into presentation and send them out to everyone.
yeah, that would be.
You know what it's like when you ask your customer for a picture, they're like, yeah, we'll send it to you maybe in 4 weeks. So we'll keep pushing.
Understood. Any testimonials from installs, like so-and-so from Costco or from X Factory? We're having some conversations with some software partners that are right in the thick of the meat packing industry. It would be so helpful to say, yeah, it's in a couple of factories here. Or
sure.
Okay, I can ask. We've got in a lot of factories. We'll see if we can get someone to give us a testimonial that we can use for you. So yeah.
Yeah, and Costco. We've also heard about Canary Wharf. How's that going? That's a kind of iconic real estate play, and we're talking certainly the folks who live in that same.
So again, it's the same thing. They've got the units now. I think that we gave that they've taken delivery of the units, but no one's going there yet because we're not allowed. So we'll have an empty building where just the facilities are. We literally the other day, about 2 or 3 days ago, I was allowed to send my install team out to finish. We're doing a giant LED installation at Westfield in London, and I was allowed to send my installation team out to go and do that. So it's only just been allowed. They reckon that we're going to start to open up stuff on the 13th or 15th of June. So maybe by then they'll relax it a little bit. But right now, me and Pete took the decision to open our factory. So we opened our factory, and 2 days later we had 4 people ill.
Okay.
So two of them spotted by the InstaScan, which was great. But effectively, that's the level of what's happening to us at the moment in the UK. We're not even we had a lockdown where everybody stayed in, no one went anywhere, and I think that people have gone stir crazy or right the other way. So when you open up, people aren't going anywhere. They're scared to go places. So you open up, someone's got a snivelly nose, and they won't go anywhere, or they won't go to the factory. So it's quite hard to do that. But we had to open the factory because we had to start making the units. So we've got I think we've delivered. We got about 3,500 on order. We've delivered about 2,000 of those 3.5. When we're at full capacity, we'll be able to make at least 500 a day of these units. And what we're saying actually hasn't been covered on the lead time side of things. What we're saying is that if we get an order, a substantial order, we would get you onto the production line between 2 and 3 weeks, so between 14 and 17 days for us to get all the parts in, and then we can do 500 a day at that basis. So we're capable of doing the numbers. We're not worried about the numbers. It's just getting it onto the production line to start with.
Okay, thank you.
Anything, Alan, that I haven't covered that you'd like me to cover, or Dan?
No, I think that's it, James. I think you've done a terrific job on behalf of everybody on the call. Thank you very much. And
Alison?
I got a question here.
Hi.
Thank
Go
you. I just wanted to talk a little bit in terms of, I know in Japan, Jeff's working out of there and is moving forward. Do you guys have a specific shipper or brokerage that you work with in terms of, being able to get a quote for, say Japan, since we're mostly out of North America? We're not sure what the prices would be out there.
So yeah, we it's funny enough, it's been a whole new learning curve at the moment because shipping has gone stupid.
Yeah.
One, because obviously with regards, Dan's laughing because he knows. But one, because we are experiencing the fact that people haven't got time to wait. They want this stuff quickly, so we're looking at using planes. And two, because you just have to look above your head and see that there aren't any. So normal shipping that happens around the world, certainly from the UK across to America, there may be 5 DHL UPS planes a day, but normally what happens is that all of that extra space on the normal commercial flights, so when you and I get on a plane, there'll be space on that plane that goes to the cargo companies. So because there's none of those flights, it's a bit different. We've got some very good guys on it, and as I can say from what Dan was laughing at just now, we've done a delivery of of 20 pieces and it can take 2 weeks, and we can do a delivery of 100 pieces and it can take 3 days. So we're kind of in a bit of a space where we're finding our feet into different zones, etc., etc. But we are able to get from the UK, we're able to get product all over the world at the moment. There isn't anywhere that we can't get to. But what we normally do is we would normally understand the quantity, understand when the product's going to be done, and then work out which flight we can get on. We had an example today where yesterday Delta said to us they can't tell us we can get it on a plane, and then this morning they said no problem, we can get on that plane. So that's just Delta on their own, you know, changing the rules at the drop of a hat. But from a shipping perspective, from a you know, import export duty side of things, we've got all that covered.
Okay,
I have a question for you. At the beginning of the call, you mentioned you read something from the World Health Organization about 90% of cases and symptoms. Where did you find that?
I'll find it because it got sent to me. James, did you get that? The 89.1% thing? I think you sent it to me on Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, it's one of your. It was. We'll find it. It's
It'll be in the chat if I've done it. I'll find it.
Yeah, find it and send it to me. That's a good stat.
Oh, sorry, I've just seen your question, Adson, come through on my email. Apologies. So is there any other questions from anyone left?
No question, just and ask that please send that around to the whole group, the World Health.
Oh yeah, yes. Of course.
We'll use that as part of just the rationale for prospective clients and stuff.
Sure. Alan and Dan also you've got our thermal statement documents as well, which goes into the technology inside of the unit, which should give your customers some comfort, all European-based camera technology for the thermal imaging.
Yeah, I've got that, James. Thank you. We'll make sure we distribute that to everybody.
No problem. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Greatly, greatly appreciated. I hope everyone stays safe and has a good end to the week. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email